was my first motorcycle shop, and I set it up, and it was all lovely. And as a young man, I'll never forget it, this guy arrived on my forecourt, and he looked at me, he's a bit older than me. He says, I can't believe it, you're a young man, you've got your own motorcycle shop. He said, have you ever read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? Right? Now, I was a bit embarrassed. I just told you, I left school at the age of 14, did an apprenticeship as a carpenter and joiner. At the age of 20, I'd never read any book at all. Never read a book in my life, let alone Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I didn't tell him that. I said, no, I've never read the book. And he said, I think you could get a lot out of that book. He said, I'll go and get you a copy. So he bought me this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, first book I ever read, and I didn't know any better. You see, when I'm reading it, I thought it was an instruction book. I thought it was an instruction book, so I never just read it from cover to cover. Every time it told me to do something, I put the book down and did the instruction. So it says, write on a big bit of paper, quitters never win and winners never quit. So I wrote this out on a big bit of paper, rushed back to the book to see what to do next. He says, once you've done that, pin it above your bed where you see it every night. So I pinned it up, there it was. Quitters never win and winners never quit. Look, we've got some, how did that magic up? So, next thing I read in the book, set yourself up a mastermind group. Right? A mastermind group. And they'll help you get things happening. So, who did I have around me? I had one motorcycle shop. All I had was my mechanics and my salesmen. The instructions were set up a mastermind group. So I said to them, line them all up as though they were going to be shot. I said, you're going to be my mastermind group. You know what they did? They fell about laughing. Mastermind group! They thought it was hilarious. When all the laughing stopped, what he wants to do, I said, I don't know. But you're my mastermind group. You're going to help me make this business expand and grow. So it was incredible. If you haven't set yourself up a mastermind group, get some people around you who you can spark off and make things happen. So these mechanics and salesmen, they helped me grow this thing, and in the end, we had the biggest motorcycle chain of shops in London, right across South London. Absolutely incredible. Very, very, very exciting story. But there's another little twist to it. One of those guys came in one day, and he says, there's a big motorcycle shop at Hampton Court. And he says, the word on the street is this business is up for sale. But he says, lots of people have got in to see the guy to try and buy it, and the guy is very aggressive, and he goes, it's not for sale. But the word on the street is that it is for sale. So he says, if we could get it, it would be fantastic, but you've got a little bit of a problem there. And the other problem was, of course, I had to raise the money to actually go out and buy it. I had two problems. Even if I could raise the money, how could I convince the guy to say yes? So, what happened? Every night I was determined to get that little shop, it's a huge shop, in my empire. And I drove out to Hampton Court in my little yellow truck, parked the truck around the back, and I looked in this motorcycle shop, right? This is the important thing, not with my glasses and my eyes looking in, but with my insight, which is at the back of my head, right? Not my sight, but insight. And I projected myself into the shop, not with my eyes, but in the back of my mind, I could actually visualise myself being in this shop, as though I owned it. Selling motorcycles, stacking the shelves, sweeping up the floors. I owned this shop. I put that program in at the cellular level, over and over again. Bang, 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 bang. Every night I drove out to Hampton Court, not looking with my eyes, but I pressed the nose up against the window, and in the back of my mind, I saw myself in there, visualised myself in there, and I owned it. And after 3 weeks, what do you think happened? Little eureka. Little idea popped into my head. I can raise the money to get this shop. I knew how to do it. And that's not the point of this story. I raised the money. I got it from a number of different sources. The purpose of this story is, how did I convince the guy to actually sell it to me when I know he had turned down a load of other people? But I had a eureka, and I'm not going to tell you what it was, I'm going to demonstrate it to you. So I raised the money, and one Saturday morning I went to buy the shop, but I knew he might say no. So I went down there with a big load of money, sufficient to choke a bull with, a massive hip pocket roll in my pocket. I went in, I saw the guy and said, hello Bill, I said, my name's Holland, I own some shops, love to buy your shop. He said, I know who you are, I know all about you. I said, well, are you up for selling your shop to me? He says, no, he says, I'm not interested. Now, I was ready for that because he had turned down a number of other people. So, I said to him, well, how about I buy a whole load of stock from you at wholesale prices? And he stopped and thought, I could see the thought process going, the cogs turning in his brain. And he said to me, he says, well, why not? And the minute he said that, I said, well, I'll have those 7 motorbikes, 27 petrol tanks, 14 gearboxes, I'll have all those boxes of bits and pieces there, and I got out my money, I loaded all of this stuff up onto my truck and drove it to one of my other shops. Dropped it off. Next Saturday, what do you think I did? Went back, walked in, I said, hello Bill, I said, I'm still ever so keen to buy your shop. I want to buy your shop. And he said, no, he says, it's not for sale. And I said, well, I said, no problem. I said, how about I buy some stock at wholesale prices? And he thought for a minute, he said, well, why not? I said, well, I'll have 14 of those motorbikes, 6 of those wheels, 4 of those petrol tanks, and I got out my money. You see what's coming, don't you? I drove it all back to one of my other shops, dropped it off. The next Saturday I went back for more. I walked in the shop, this is what happened, I walked in the shop and I got out my money this time, ready to buy a big load of stuff. And I said, I'll have 4 motorbikes, 27 tanks, and he stopped me. He said, stop, stop. He said, wouldn't it make more sense if you bought the whole shop? And I said, I've done it. The biggest motorcycle shop in London, okay? I'm trying to impress. I know there's people in here who want business, make things happen. Start really programming your mind at a cellular level. Affirmations, really doing it. Visualizations, really doing it. I want to share with you the biggest secret in self-help that is not in the books. The biggest secret in self-help is that most people read the books, do the workshops, but they do not actually write a list of goals, do the affirmations, and actually visualize them. Right? So reading the books is not enough. Doing the seminars and workshops is not enough. The only thing that counts is programming your own mind over and over again at a cellular level. A couple more ever such quick stories. During the course of my motorcycles shops, had 7 shops, and I nearly went bankrupt because I didn't know the difference between cash flow and profit. And I spent all the money, and one day I've woken up and I've got 7 empty motorbike shops. I hadn't been ploughing the money back into the stock. Spent the money, didn't know the difference between cash flow and profit. And I went around the banks and the venture capital companies everywhere trying to get some money to restock my 7 empty shops, and nobody would give me the money. Nobody. And I thought, what am I going to do? So intuitively, I visualised those motorcycle shops, chock-a-block with motorcycles. We had hundreds, in my imagination, hundreds of motorcycles. I visualised them over and over again at a cellular level, seeing clearly we had so many motorbikes, we couldn't even close the doors. And then I got this little eureka about 3 days later. It said, if you want motorcycles, just go out and buy all the motorcycle papers, phone every classified advert, say, have you still got your motorcycle for sale? Bring it into one of my showrooms and we'll sell it for you. And I just made hundreds and hundreds of phone calls. And what do you think happened? The motorbikes flooded in on sale or return, and we filled those motorcycle shops. That's how I made my first fortune. It was incredible. That methodology is still there to do today.